Sri Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jai Gora Nitai, Jai Gora Nitai, Jai Gora Nitai, Jai Gora Nitai. Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Oh Gurudev, Gurudeva, Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev. Go Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Prayeshu Bhadresu Bhagavati, is that right? Nityam Bhagavatam Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Vaibhati Naistiki. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, we first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavad and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed to practically nil, and thus loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is praised with transcendental hymn, becomes established, is an irrevocable fact. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 4, text number 34. Please repeat. Deha Yasam Cha Tasya Dhiranam Daija Varanam Anyesam Duskara Taram Pasunam Viklava Atmanam Dehanyasam Chatashaivam Dhiranandaya Vadanam Anyesam Duskaritaram Pasunam Viklavatmanam Dehanyasam Chatashaivam Dhiranam Dayavardhanam Anyesam Duskarataram Pasunam Viklavatmanam Dehanyasam Chatashaivam Dhiranam Dayavardhanam Anyesam Duskarataram Pasunam Viklavatmanam Dehanyasam Chatashaivam Dhiranam Dayavardhanam Anyesam Duskarataram Pasunam Viklavatmanam
Dehanyasam Chatashaivam
Dehanyasam Chatashaivam
Dhiranam Dayavardhanam
Dhiranam Dayavardhanam
Anyesam Duskarataram
Anyesam Duskarataram
Pasunam Viklavatmanam
Pasunam Viklavatmanam Dehanyasam Chatashaivam Dhiranam Dayavardhanam Anyesam Duskarataram Pasunam Viklavatmanam Dehanyasam Chatashaivam Dhiranam Dayavardhanam Anyesam Duskarataram Pasunam Viklavatmanam. Anyone else? Dehanyasam entering the body. Cha also Tasha his Evam also Dhiranam of great sages Daya perseverance Vardhanam increasing Anyesam for others Duskara Taram very difficult to ascertain Pasunam of the beast Viklava disturbed Atmanam of Sichaman. Srila Prabhupada's translation, please repeat. The Lord's glorious acts in His acceptance of various transcendental forms for the performance of extraordinary pastimes in the mortal world are very difficult for anyone other than his devotees to understand. And for the beast, they are simply a mental disturbance. The Lord's glorious acts and His acceptance of various transcendental forms for the performance of extraordinary pastimes in the mortal world are very difficult for anyone other than His devotees to understand. And for the beast, they are simply a mental disturbance. Srila Prabhupada's Divine Purport. transcendental forms and pastimes of the Lord are described in Bhagavad Gita, are difficult subject matters for those who are not devotees to understand. The Lord never reveals himself to persons like the jnanis and yogis. And there are others who, because of their envying the Lord from the bottom of their hearts, are classified amongst the beasts. And for such envious beasts, the subject matter of the Lord's appearance and disappearance is simply a mental disturbance. It's confirmed in Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 verse 15. The miscreants who are simply concerned with material enjoyment, who work very hard like beasts of burden, can hardly know the personality of Godhead at any stage due to asuric bhava, or the spirit of revolt against the Supreme Lord. Transcendental bodily experience manifested by the Lord for his pastimes in the mortal world, and the appearance and disappearance of such transcendental expansions are difficult subject matters, and those who are not devotees are advised not to discuss the Lord's appearance and disappearance, lest they commit further offenses at the lotus feet of the Lord. The more they discuss the transcendental appearance and disappearance of the Lord and the asuric spirit, the more they enter into the darkest region of hell. It's stated in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, verse 20. Anyone who is against the transcendental loving service of the Lord is more or less a beastly creature. Is confirmed in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to the 34th sloka, 4th chapter, 3rd canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. The Dura approaches Maitreya. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Ganati Milanda Shagyananjana Shilakaya Kakshum Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Skapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shiguro Shiyukta Parakamalam Shigurum Vaishnavam Cha Shirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitantam Sajivam Sarvaitam Sarvadutam Prijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaguna Lalita Shri Visakan Stitam Cha He Krishna Karna Sindho Dinabando Jagapate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gurangi Radhe Vindavane Swari Vrishabhanustutu Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpya Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitam Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki. So our dear brothers and sisters in this mortal world who unfortunately are suffering under the might of the powerful Deva Kali, are suffering tremendously. Unfortunately, it's for their own desire, their own want. You know, we under this influence, we want these things, and although they result in misery and suffering, you know, we don't, as smart as we may think we may be, we never really put it together. At least the vast majority of people, they never really figure it out. They're just like Prabhupada would compare to that old example, like in Aesop's fable of the horse that just follows the carrot. They put some blinders on it so it can't see on either side and get distracted, and it just sees that carrot. So it pulls a wagon all day long just to get that carrot. Can pull all kinds of heavy loads. So the carrot of sense gratification is there before everyone's eyes, and especially due to modern technology, we chase after that carrot, you know, thinking it to be so tasteful, just trying our best to get it, even if it is in some form of dharma, whereby we just want to excel in some occupation, even for the good of our family or nation or humanity. Still, we chase that carrot to simply taste that rasa, that flavor from some successful execution of duty. Of course, it can also be the most lowly addictions that people have, just trying to somehow ever experience that feeling, that taste that comes from eating this or tasting that or smoking this or consuming that. And although it strips a person, practically speaking, of all their morals and makes us lame-brained, even almost idiots, still people unfortunately become consumed by it. And then there's so many things in between, and the whole world is simply revolving. It's going around from generation to generation trying to catch that carrot. And this way they maintain the world. Sometimes it's not in the best of shape like today. Things become so exploited and ruined, like the air and the rain, and they start to speculate what's going to happen, and that we think that there's going to be some sort of climate change, which very well could occur. Who knows exactly how it's all going to go down, but even they are very worried about what we have done, and how we can undo it, how we can make a change, how we can maybe get back to where the earth's in the best of shape, while others are trying to zoom off and find new places to pioneer. They've always had this pioneer spirit. We get sort of stressed out in one place, and the old saying of "go west, young man." So we just go west. We find some new place to settle and have adventure, and be able to be the Lord of something more than we previously had. So, unfortunate situation, no one's Atmarama, no one's self-satisfied, no one is actually happy because of a lack of peace of mind. They don't even consider it anymore. They just consider chasing the carrot, trying to get it, and or trying to be king of the mountain. In this way, the whole world is practically on the verge of fighting with one another over the limited amount of natural resources which Mother Earth doesn't allow, doesn't exhibit her full potency, because she's not very satisfied with the population. So therefore she simply limits it as much as possible, while they do their best to try to get to it, trying to extract as much as they can to maintain their status quo. We've created this civilization that's much different from previous civilizations. No longer are we dependent on draft animals. No longer do we have a means of wealth that is hard assets like gold or diamonds or such precious metals. We've changed civilization so that we simply on the authority of government we accept something as wealth, and everybody cooperates for the capitalistic or communistic and everything in between that direction of the government. And we develop all sorts of commodities and vast amounts of weapons to try to sell to one another. And this way a whole generation of people, they try to be happy as consumers, having houses and cars and all sorts of appliances, and then trying to do whatever they can with the food that's available, and trying to get some enjoyment from recreation. But the goal is to acquire as much as possible and to consume to our heart's content. And then they have the battle. It's a battle to keep our health together. And then it costs them all of their money to do so. And they have to have insurance to leave something for the next generation. In the meantime, you always have to repair the house and repair the cars. And what to speak of repairing our body. And then they have a vast amount of mental diseases, which is many times much more difficult to repair. They try to balance the chemicals inside the brain. They try to go through some sort of psychoanalysis and figure it all out, even from past lives, and try to bring a person into some state of assurance or harmony with their mind, and yet success is limited, despite spending vast amounts of wealth. So, Srila Prabhupada created this Krishna conscious movement just to save us fools and rascals who are immersed in this lifestyle. And unfortunately, we see the devotees, they join the lifestyle, for fruitive work, practically speaking, with some concept of karma yoga to give back and serve the Sankirtan movement. That's fine, especially if that's all one can do, if we're just driven by our desire or our needs. Especially family people. It's very difficult for people to live austerely, and so they try to follow a program as set up in Prabhupada's books of Varnashram Dharma in order to be happy. Most people can't come live a simple lifestyle on the farm because they've never done that before. And they're satisfied holding 9-to-5 jobs or having some place in the military or someplace in some institution or corporation, big academic institutions or big corporations. They can have some standard type of job like an accountant, a person who does that at various degrees. And that's, if we be a devotee, we try our best to be a devotee and help our family to be a devotee, and we try to serve this Sankirtan movement. That of course is better than the opposite. But just think if we could take to the path of bhakti wholeheartedly and find some place in one of Prabhupada's temples, or what to speak about on his farm, and try to live a Brahminical type of lifestyle, or a pure devotee type of lifestyle, a renounced type of lifestyle, where we're dependent just on the minimum. All we need is a little shelter. All we need is whatever prasadam is being served. Clothes are a dime a dozen. You can get it anywhere. Just like Sukadeva Goswami says in the Bhagavatam, you can always find some clothing. Even Sanatana Goswami, he gave away his brand new expensive quilt just for some sadhu's torn charter. And that pleased Lord Chaitanya greatly. We don't have to be so austere like them that we can live under trees. Every devotee can easily have a dhoti or sari and keep it clean and have, 2 or 3 others, and we can eat prasadam. Everyone can go to some sort of doctor. Everyone can try to maintain their health, by not eating so much and eating simply and getting in, the proper exercise where we don't have to sit down all day long driving or at a desk, and very seldom get any proper exercise for the body. Especially on the farm, we can always be walking and moving, and all of that is good for the body. Even up until our last days, we can be moving as much as possible. As soon as we become unmobile and we just sit, it's just like the cow. You ever see the cows die? They just sit down and they never get up again. It only takes about a week. All the gases in their stomach lead to the death. They have to be moving for everything to work. And the same as a human being. If we're not moving, we just become depressed as we sit there and daydream and dream, and the body starts to stop up. We wither away from fasting to death. So, the devotees can have a very nice lifestyle if we're just detached. But being detached is, very difficult, because Kali has his way of tempting us and putting so many needs in the forefront of our minds, so therefore we genuinely need money, and so that's why we have to go somewhere. Because there's only bhakti in Prabhupada's temples. There's not money. There's just a little bit of money, and it kind of goes around here and there, and then we have to be very careful not to become envious of somebody who has a little bit more money than me. And that tends to happen. Oh, why does he get so much money? Why he's getting this? Why he's getting that? Why didn't he ask to do that? Why didn't he ask to do this? Why I have to do this and that while they don't? And so this way one's mind's disturbed simply because we're not detached. No training as a brahmachari. Brahmachari just does what the spiritual master asks. He never thinks like that. You're not supposed to think like that. You don't think like that. You only try to think on the Brahman platform. Oh, everyone's Vishnu's expansion. Everyone is a part and parcel of Vishnu. Oh, Vishnu's in everyone's body with them. Therefore, I have to treat everyone as a spiritual being. you know, a part and parcel of the Lord's devotee. I can't just focus upon their material disease, their material conditioning, whatever modes surround them. But I have to see everything in relation to Vishnu. And I have to see that Vishnu's everywhere. And everyone is his part and parcel. Even the ants are Vishnu's parts and parcels, the souls in their body. So therefore we can enjoy giving them some old pasada. So this type of training makes one satisfied and happy whatever they do throughout their life. It's a wonderful mentality of actual renunciation based on reality. I'm a spirit soul. I don't have to stash food. Whatever Krishna sends the next day is fine. Why should I have to stash and eat something old? Something eat what's fresh, what's coming out Krishna's kitchen. No, can't eat that. Got too much sugar in it. Too oily. This and that. You know, but we can always find something. There's nothing wrong with rice and dal or chapati. You know, we can always find, you know, some vegetables. I mean, sometimes the devotees even graze in the garden like cows, you know, eating raw things. So we can grow things, you know. There's just so much we can do in real self-sufficiency of just depending on Guru and Krishna. And that way, you know, time goes by just like it does for the karmis. For the good karmis and the bad karmis. The time just goes by, and for the devotee, he's only learning to take pleasure in these things right here that only devotees can understand. And the beasts, they can never understand it. Those persons who are just like beasts, how can they understand it? They just think it's mythology, it's just cartoons. They think in an offensive way. Therefore, it's said that they shouldn't discuss it. We shouldn't discuss it with them because the way they're going to think about it. No one has to be very tactful and artful in bringing others to Krishna consciousness. So generally, we start with the soul. Let them understand the soul within the body, riding on the life airs, and that the soul transmigrates from one body to another, just like it does in this body. And you know, when they can understand that, then it becomes a little bit easier to actually accept Krishna. It's not that they can't understand, generally speaking. They can read the sentence and understand it, but they have absolutely no faith. So therefore, they don't understand it. Because it's just not a reality to them. But devotees, you know, it's the reality of Krishna consciousness. You know, Krishna becomes visible on the tongue of the devotee. Krishna is none different from his murti, and only the devotees can have faith. You know, the non-devotee can't have that faith, and if we're going to help somebody be a devotee, then, you know, it takes a lot of, you know, blood, sweat, and tears. But not that we don't follow in Srila Prabhupada's footsteps. He was very expert. And, you know, and he taught people again and again, we're not that body. We're not that body. Quit putting an emphasis on the body. You know, we're always worried about the body. We're consumed about the body. So many things happen to the body. And, you know, we become consumed with it. But, you know, if we become expert devotee, then we don't let it bother us as much as possible. You know, if somebody's there and helping us, fine. If not, somehow we get by and until the day comes where we get to go back to Godhead. You know, this life is so short and insignificant. Prabhupada just compared it to a little bitty period at the end of a sentence. Its value is that we can serve Guru and Guranga while here. And we can, learn to fix our mind on Krishna. And take his shelter. And have his blessings. And this way transcend. It's actually a real action that one transcends. We transcend all this bodily discomfort. It's not important. I don't have to let it bother me. But how can we not let it bother us if our mind's fixed on it? So, we have to put the mind somewhere else. That means in Krishna consciousness. And that takes, a lot of development, practice. Practice makes perfect, but, that's, those of us who practice like that, then down the line, we go back home to Godhead. Whereas, those who just practice their Dharma in the material world, they may throw footballs their whole life, but what do they become in the next life? Who knows? But you certainly don't get out of the material world because you enjoy throwing footballs in the material world. We have to put aside these material things to practice Krishna consciousness, developing love for Krishna. If we can't hear the pastimes of Krishna with love, it's only because, we're not such great devotees. So it takes practice of cleansing our mind from all that dust. We hear it, we can ask unchallenging, submissive questions, just so we can advance in our faith and our love and our devotion. And, gradually, it may even could be abrupt, who knows, Krishna is a miracle worker, so within the heart of the devotee, he fixes us up, he cleanses us up. It's a different type of disease. Like Murari Gupta, the associate of Mahaprabhu. He was expert in curing material diseases. He was an Ayurvedic physician. But being a great devotee, he was also expert in healing the spiritual disease. So, anybody who came to Murari, they would become a devotee. And they would become healed, materially and spiritually. So, that's our great hope, to become healed, just as Murari Gupta would heal the devotees. So in the association of Lord Chaitanya and his followers, down to Srila Prabhupada, his disciples, and all the other devotees, we want to simply become healed and become a devotee ourselves. And be on the path back home, back to Godhead, not on the path of enjoying sense gratification, a disastrous path. So again, it's 10 minutes past the time, so we had to stop. I got on this whole tangent of talking about the material world, and how problematic it is. So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Here's some sweets. I don't know if y'all want these ladus, but Abhi can maybe pass out to whoever wants, and then whatever remains, if nobody takes one, you can have them all.
I'll help you, Abhi.
Sure.
I'll help you.
John, you don't want a sweet?
You know what, sweet? Some breakfast?
All right, I gotta go and get some.
Thank you.
You like what?
Huh? What?
Like,
It's the same. And fix it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Did you not get, had you not been taking medication?
Well, hello. We
maybe you should make a medicine.
I should never do that never ever again. And what it is with a thyroid medicine, you can only take one in your stomach. So it's not something in the middle of the day. Go,
Yeah,
"Oh,
oh,
I forgot to take it." So now I'm waking up at like 2 in the morning to make sure to take it. Because that affects the muscles. That's why my knee was swollen. It affects all my
lucky,
muscles.
you know, just like, shut.
Yeah, I know. It usually makes it go up.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just because I'm not eating, because you know my ass by eating. You can't sleep. You're depressed.
Well, I'm glad you figured it out.
Definitely medicine. That was something else. I don't like taking medicine.
No, it
That's
does.
something I can't.
Yeah.
Like that medicine they gave me for the kid, I can't take that. I don't know who could take that. I don't know
For
how
what?
I used to take that.
What is it?
The pain medicine they gave
Oh.
me for high amounts of it.
Yeah.
I took a little piece of it and I just felt so, oh.
Well, my husband has to take so much medication for his pain, and sometimes, like, he can't eat.
Yeah.
And it feels,
I just laid in
feels
that
like
bed
it's
for like
sick.
4 hours, just telling how
Yeah.
it feels.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what
I'm
he,
just feeling pain.
Yeah.
It's just
yeah, that's, he does it until he can't tolerate it anymore. Yeah. Yogindra Prabhu, Guruji was thinking that if you wanted to make a road, you know, and put a culvert in down there, that Lakshmi that he gave you for the road, for the guest house,
Oh, yeah.
that you could use that for that road.
Now, do you mean a road going to Mother Bhakti Moving?
Right. And be able to service those devotees over there. I guess, Pre-2 is gonna need a way to get to his, otherwise he can just park in the parking lot and, walk to his house. I don't know why people don't do that more. Like maybe make a parking lot over by Narton's place and people can just walk. I don't know. That's easy for me to say because I don't have to walk it.
I mean, they may do it every now and then, but when it's raining,
Yeah. Yeah,
so they, oh, the bucky's gonna bring his mama home,
right,
and creek doing down the kid, or getting it, don't get it. I
Right.
mean, usually they're gonna park that big van out with it, they only take it out once a week,
right,
so they kind of walk around.
right, they do.
But, yeah, we have,
About that.
we could figure out a road back there just for that one house. Fortunately, he's not here very much, so he doesn't come and go a whole lot.
Right.
And then the road has to be maintained like all these other roads, you know?
Right, exactly. That's what I was telling you too. Because of the rains and stuff like that washes the roads out
Oh,
because people
God.
going downhill.
Yep. Like that one going down Christmas Friday.
Right.
Oh,
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram